Alright guys, I'm going to be going through some practice problems with you guys. I'm going to do one of each kind from your practice worksheet or your practice formative. I have the numbers on there so you guys can go through and do those with me. If you have more questions after that, just let me know. This is exactly what your quiz is going to look like, just different numbers and not as many. Okay, so if you can do these, then you should be just fine for your quiz. So the first type of problem looks like this. They give you an equation and they want you to graph it. For you guys, since they're multiple choice, you have to pick the correct graph. So to do this, we're going to have to find our m value, which is our slope, and we have to find our b value, which is our y-intercept. So our slope, I hope you know by now, is always right in front of the x value. So our slope for this problem is going to be -5. If you want to write it as a fraction, we put -5/1. Okay, and then our b value, which is our y-intercept, is always at the end with the symbol right in front of it. You keep that symbol. So our b value, or our y-intercept, is -2. So now that we have those two things, we can go ahead and graph our line. So the first thing we're going to plot is our y-intercept. This is always the first. Okay, so our y-intercept is -2. So I'm going to go over here and write it -2, put a mark. Next thing we're going to do is you have to have at least 2 points to make a line. So we're going to use our slope to help us find the next point. So -5/1 means that we have to go down 5 and then to the right 1. So we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then to the right 1. And that point right there would be the second point on our line. If you'd like to have more points, you can. We're not going to be able to go down any further, but you can go up. You can always do the opposite. So you can go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then to the left 1. And that's going to be another point. And you could do it again if you wanted to. But we have plenty of points to form our line. So that's number 1. So you should have a graph option that looks like that for number 1. Number 3 looks like this. They give you the graph and you have to pick out the equation that matches the graph. So again, to be able to write an equation, we're going to have to find our m, which is our slope, and then our b, which is the y-intercept. The easiest one for us to find is going to be the y-intercept. It's where it crosses the y-axis. So our graph crosses the y-axis at that point right there, which happens to be +1. So our b value is going to be +1. And then our m value, which is our slope, we have to find a slope triangle or find 2 points that perfectly cross our graph. So there's a point that perfectly crosses and there's a point that perfectly crosses. So now that we have those 2 points, we could create a slope triangle. Alright, and then we have to find our rise over our run. So our rise is our up and down portion. So we have to go 1, 2, and I go down 2. So since I go down, I know that my slope is going to be negative, and there's my rise. And then the run is 1, 2, 3. So I have a run of 3. And there's our slope, rise over run. So we're not quite finished yet because we have to put this into an equation. So we're going to fill it into y equals mx plus b form. So my m I know is 2/3. So I have y equals -2/3. And then x stays x, and I fill in b with 1. So that right there should be one of your options for number 3. Number 7. Okay, so for this kind of problem, they give you the slope and they give you the y-intercept. So this is a little bit easier because we don't have to find them from a graph. So we know our slope is the m value. Whoops. That. I'm going to put this in black. Okay, we know our slope is our m value, and we know our y-intercept is our b value. So all we have to do is plug them in where they belong. So our m goes there, and our b goes there. So our final answer should be y equals, I plug in -2/3 for m, x stays, and my y-intercept is a plus b. +1. So there we go. That should be an answer for number 7. The next one's number 12. They want you to write these in slope-intercept form when given to you in standard form. So in slope-intercept form, the whole goal is to get y by itself. Once you have y by itself, then that's your answer. So to get y by itself, we have to undo everything that's with y. We can't do anything with the 7 yet because there's other stuff that we have to get rid of. So we're going to move this 11x to the other side first. So I'm going to subtract 11x from both sides. I get 7y equals, and here's where it kind of gets tricky. I'm going to move this negative 11x here, and then I'm going to put the plus 42 after that. Because when we're in true slope-intercept form, we have y equals mx plus b. So I want the x's here, and then I want the b added or subtracted at the end. So I'm going to flip-flop these two so that I get it in this true form. You can add and subtract in any order, so it doesn't change the math at all, flip-flopping those. The last thing that we have to do is we have to divide both sides. Divide both sides by 7. On the left side, they cancel out, and we get y equals. 11 and 7 can't be simplified, so we're just going to leave that as an improper fraction. Negative 11 over 7x, and then 42 divided by 7 is going to be a positive 6. So that should be one of your answer options for number 12. If you ever get to this point and you simplify it by turning it into a decimal, I will not mark it wrong. But on your quiz, you're going to have multiple choice, so make sure you know that you can leave it as a fraction and it will look like that. Okay, I think this is the last one I'm going to help you with. This is number 15. They give you 2 points, so this is like your work last week. First thing you have to do is you have to plug it into the slope formula. So we have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to have my y2 of 3 minus y1 x2 minus x1. And then we simplify. So I change this to a plus. I have 3 plus 1, which is 4, and then 4 minus 3, which is 1. So our slope, when simplified, 4 divided by 1 simplifies down to just a 4. So our m value is 4. Now to find our b value is the tricky part, but I'm going to choose just one of these two. I'm actually going to go with this one because they're both positive, and we have to plug it into our equation. So I match up my x value. I'm going to plug that in for x, and then I match up my y value and plug that in for y. So since I have my y, I'm going to do 3 equals m, which is our slope, which we just found, so I can plug in m there, 4 times my x value, which is also 4, and then plus b. So now we simplify this equation to help us solve for b. So I'm going to multiply 4 times 4, which gives me 16, plus b, bring down the 3, and then I have to subtract 16 from both sides. So I get 3 minus 16. Okay, so that's going to end up being a negative 13 equals b. So now we know our b value, we know our m value. All we have to do is plug them into our final equation, which is going to be y equals m is 4, mx minus 13. That should be one of your options for number 15. If you have any other questions about any of these problems, please let me know. Your quiz will be due on Tuesday, as well as this practice sheet. So again, if you have any questions, hop on a Zoom meeting with me or let me know, and we will see you guys later. Have fun.